Hello students, on behalf of United Group of Institutions, I Swarup Malik welcome you all to this online class of Basic Electrical Engineering. Today I am going to discuss lecture number 0. The topic is magnetic materials and magnetizing curve. First of all, the question may arise in your mind that why I call it as a lecture 0. Simply because we have already gone through lecture number 1 to lecture number 6 of transformer. So this is basically a foundation for the chapter of single phase transformer. As we all know that the transformer core is made up of magnetic material, so that's why this topic, magnetic materials and magnetizing curve, is of great relevance as far as single phase transform is concerned. So I call it as a lecture number 0, so that you should go through this lecture and it will be a foundation part of single phase transformer. So I have planned today's lecture into the following parts. First, classification of magnetic materials. Second, magnetizing curve. And third, magnetic hysteresis, or we can say as hysteresis loop. So let us start with today's topic, that is classification of magnetic materials. As we all know that these are the elements which are still exist in our periodic table, and out of these elements, all elements is either fall into the 5 categories of according to magnetic materials. As it is already written, all materials can be classified in terms of their magnetic behavior, falling into one of 5 categories depending on their bulk magnetic susceptibility. So now the question arises that what do you understand by magnetic susceptibility? In Hindi, we can translate this magnetic susceptibility as a chumbakiya संवेदनशीलता. So this magnetic susceptibility is nothing but chumbakiya संवेदनशीलता. So through this, this is our figure number 1, the periodic table. So here it has been shown with 5 different colors. This is ferromagnetic material. These 3 are ferromagnetic materials. Then we have antiferromagnetic material. This is antiferromagnetic. And we have paramagnetic materials with white colors. And we have diamagnetic materials. These are diamagnetic materials. So basically the two most common types of magnetism are diamagnetism and paramagnetism, and these two combinedly known as non-magnetic materials. Okay, whereas the ferromagnetic materials is known as the magnetic materials. So the only other types of magnetism observed in pure elements at room temperature apart from these 3 is antiferromagnetism. And finally, magnetic materials can also be classified as ferrimagnetic. The name is derived from ferrites. We have some ferrite materials such as the mixed oxides, and they are basically compounds. So basically this type of ferrimagnetic property has been observed in ferrites, so that's why we call it them as ferrimagnetic materials. Okay, so depend upon the magnetic susceptibility, the magnetic materials has been classified. We can analyze this from this table. Suppose if we want to discuss about diamagnetism, so diamagnetism is basically atoms have no magnetic moment. You can see no magnetic moment in these atoms, so susceptibility is very small. If you're talking about paramagnetic materials, then they have the magnetic moments, but they are not aligned in a single direction. They has been oriented in a different directions. So they are basically paramagnetic materials. We have ferromagnetic materials. Ferromagnetism, you can see the atoms have parallelly aligned magnetic moments. So susceptibility is very large as compared to paramagnetism and diamagnetism. In diamagnetism, susceptibility is very small. In paramagnetism, we have some susceptibility, but in ferromagnetic materials, this susceptibility is very high. Then we have antiferromagnetism. Here the susceptibility is small. The reason behind is that the atoms have anti-parallel aligned magnetic moments. So you can see from here that here the magnetic moment is upward, here it is downward, here it is also downward, again it is upward, again it is downward. So this is basically anti-ferromagnetism. And again we have the last topic, that is ferrimagnetism, that is basically observed in ferrites. Atoms have mixed parallel and anti-parallel alignment. So this is basically a mixture of ferromagnetism and anti-ferromagnetism. So this is basically called as ferrimagnetism. So these are the 5 magnetic materials, and we have seen the magnetic behaviors of each classification of magnetic materials. So let us start with one by one. First is diamagnetism. In a diamagnetic material, the atoms have no net magnetic moment when there is no applied field. Under the influence of an applied field, the spinning electrons possess a motion, which is a type of electric current, produces a magnetization in the opposite direction to that of the applied field. So we have paramagnetism. So what happens in paramagnetism? In paramagnetism, actually what happens, that magnetic moment exists, but they are not aligned in the same direction. They are not parallelly aligned. They have different orientations. So as a result of that, there is an equation called as Curie law. So according to this Curie law, this magnetization is equals to C upon T, where T is an absolute temperature in Kelvin and C is a constant known as Curie constant. This is basically the law, the formula that is given by Pierre Curie. So that's why it's named as Curie law. So according to this law, in a paramagnetic material, what happens, that the magnetism will become inversely proportional to temperature. So you can see here that the magnetization is inversely proportional to the absolute temperature. Then it has been again another formula, we call it as a Curie-Weiss law, which states that the magnetization is equals to C upon T minus theta, where theta is a temperature constant. So this kind of behavior is also seen in some kind of salts. So here is a small explanation about this type of paramagnetic materials. And now we have a ferromagnetism. So ferromagnetism is only possible when atoms are arranged in a lattice and the atomic magnetic moments can interact to align parallel to each other. And this is actually happens in iron, cobalt and nickel. These are the ferromagnetic materials under room temperature. So you can go through the whole write-up that I have given here, so that you are able to write if it came in your examination, if it could come in your examination. And now we have antiferromagnetism, as I have already told you, and this kind of magnetism is occurred in chromium under your room temperature. So we have this antiferromagnetism property. And another property that has been discussed here is your ferrimagnetism. So ferrimagnetism is only observed in compounds. it is not being seen in any kind of element that is shown in your periodic table. That's why in periodic table ferromagnetism was not there. So this is basically observed in compounds which have more complex crystal structure than pure elements. Within these materials, the exchange interactions lead to parallel alignment of atoms in some of the crystal sites and anti-parallel alignments of others. So in this way, the ferromagnetism has been occurred. Now we have BH curve and magnetic hysteresis of magnetic materials. So basically the BH curve is plotted between flux density B, and the unit of B is in Tesla, and magnetizing force H of a material. This is known as BH curve, or we can call it as magnetizing curve. So the shape of curve is non-linear. You can see from here the shape of this magnetic curve is non-linear. From O to A you can see that H will be directly proportional to B, and from A to B you can see that although for just a small change in magnetic field, what happened, magnetic not field, magnetic force, there is a drastic change in magnetic flux density. And from B to C you can see that now the magnetic flux density is attaining a saturation by the change in magnetization force. There is a slight change in magnetic flux density, and here the saturation arises, that is here we reach the point of saturation. So if you keep on increasing the magnetizing force, the magnetic flux density is not going to increase. So this is the magnetic flux maximum magnetic flux density. The shape of curve is non-linear as it is seen. We know that through this we have seen that BH curves are very useful to analyze the magnetic circuit. So now we have magnetic hysteresis, the phenomena of lagging behind of induction flux density behind the magnetizing force H in magnetic materials is called magnetic hysteresis. So this you can see here, the magnetic hysteresis. You can see that here when we increasing the magnetization force from 0 to the positive side, and what happens that the magnetic flux density is increasing as we have seen in BH curve. But as soon as we decreasing the magnetization force, what happens, this value of magnetic flux density is not decreasing the same way as it is increasing. It will just acquire another path to decrease it, and when the magnetic force is again becomes 0, the magnetic flux density is still having a positive value. So this, for this way the hysteresis, magnetic hysteresis occurs. Here it is written, hysteresis loop is a 4-quadrant BH graph from where the hysteresis loss, coercive force and retentivity of magnetic materials are obtained. You can see here that this HC, this is the amount of coercive force that we have to apply so that this residual magnetism will become 0. And what is residual magnetism? When the magnetic force will become 0, then the amount of magnetic flux density that is still acquired by the material, this is called residual magnetism. So this is Hc's coercivity, that is the coercive force that we have to apply it in opposite directions so as to neutralize this residual magnetism. So to understand hysteresis loop, we supposed to take a magnetic material to use as a core around which insulated wire is wound. So this is a magnetic material over which a wire has been wound. The coil is connected to this DC supply during variable resistor to vary the current I. So we are giving a DC supply here, and here we have a variable resistance. So by this variable resistance we will increase or decrease this current. By increasing or decreasing this current we are actually varying the magnetizing force, and we will see the effect of magnetic flux density accordingly. So we know that current I is directly proportional to the value of magnetizing force H. So when supply current I is equal to 0, so no existence of flux density and magnetization force. The corresponding points is O in the graph. Here you can say here that no H, no B, okay, and the point will be there. So when current is increased from 0 value to a certain value, magnetizing force and flux density both are set up and increased following the path O to A. So here it is flowing from O to A. Again, for a certain value of current, flux density becomes maximum. The point indicates the magnetic saturation or maximum flux density of this core material. All elements of core material get aligned perfectly. So at this H we are getting a maximum flux density. After that, when we are decreasing, when the value of current is decreased from its value of magnetic flux saturation, H is decreased along with a decrement of B, not following the previous path, rather following the curves A to B. So you can see from here that the path is following A to B, from A to B. The point B indicates H is equals to 0 for I is equals to 0 with a certain value of B. This lagging of B behind H is called hysteresis. So this lagging behind of V when H will become 0 is known as magnetic hysteresis. The point B explains that after removing the magnetizing force H, magnetism property with little value remains in the magnetic material, and it is known as residual magnetism, as I have already discussed with you when I am showing you the diagram. If the direction of the current I is reversed, the direction of H also gets reversed. The increment of H in reverses direction following the path BC. See here, following the path BC, and the amount of magnetizing force that is required to make this flux density 0 is called coercive force. So this is H is called coercive force. Now B gets reversed following the path C to D. Now it will following the path C to D, and here again the magnetic flux density will become maximum. So if you still increasing this magnetizing force, the B will not going to increase more. So now when we decreasing this H, again it will follow another path from D to E, and again when the magnetizing force will become 0, again you can see here that a residual magnetism has been stored in this material. So in this way we are seeing that this loop will be formed, whom we called is as a hysteresis loop. So this kind of loop is very important according to your semester examination as well as for sessional exams. So please go through it. This is your magnetic hysteresis loop, and sometimes it may ask that draw the magnetization or the hysteresis loop or the magnetizing loop for hard as well as for soft magnetic materials. So here we have a magnetic hysteresis loop for a hard magnetic material, and here for a soft magnetic material. What is the difference between two loops? You can see from here that in hard magnetic materials the residual magnetism is more, as well as we need a very high coercive force to decrease or to, we can say, to neutralize this residual magnetism. Similarly, what happens in soft magnetic materials, the coercive force is very less, as well as the residual magnetism is also very less. So for that reason we basically used a hard magnetic materials, that is hard irons, for making permanent magnets, so that they will remain its magnetic property. And to remove the magnetic property we need very high coercive force, and these soft irons are basically used for making your electromagnetic materials, so that we need a very small coercive force to to remove the magnetic property from that soft core. So if I by this way the hard as well as soft materials hysteresis loop can be drawn, and the area that it covers while making this hysteresis loop is called your hysteresis loss. So you can see from here that the hard irons have more hysteresis loss as compared to soft iron. So that's all for today. Thank you. Have a nice day. Please subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you will get notification while I will uploading other videos. Thank you.